How's it going? I'm severely disappointed in Capcom. They didn't release any new Resident Evil games this year. The last one that came out was way back in 2023. Now, I can't count, but that must have been years ago at this rate. Safe to say, I'm very let down, and I'll be taking my business elsewhere. So today, I'm reviewing Stalker 2. Never mind. Resident Evil has obviously inspired a lot of games. The Evil Within, Dead Space, and Piglet's Big Game are just a few that I could mention. And we can see that in the indie horror space as well, especially in the game that I'll be talking about, Crow Country. Developed by SFB Games, they are well known for their other horror titles, such as Snipper Clips for the Nintendo Switch. Wait. Crow Country seems to be their first dive into survival horror, heavily taking inspiration from the classic Resident Evil titles. A top-down perspective, no over-the-shoulder aiming, a strong emphasis on puzzle solving, the standard stuff you'd expect. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of old Resident Evil. The controls are too clunky, the fixed camera angles give me an eyesore, the item management is a pain in the arse, and the puzzles feel like I'm getting mentally penetrated, and not in a consensual way. That said, I do like Remake 1, so it's not all bad. But Crow Country did not seem up my alley at all because of this. So when I say I really enjoyed it, look, I'm not some video game grand wizard, but that should tell you this is a good game. Crow Country is set in Atlanta, 1990. While Rick Grimes is being saved by Glenn, we're following Mara, an agent who's off to investigate the abandoned theme park and the whereabouts of its owner. It goes through the familiar beats of storytelling with the off-putting setting, the blood, the injured character before encountering strange monsters. You know yourself. I did like how it built the environment with all of these characters that you meet. It was cool to read files about Crow's partners like Tolman and then actually meeting him. I was like, oh shit, that's the guy, that's him. It leads to a more engaging storyline rather than reading all the case files and piecing the situation together. The cryptic dialogue, especially with Robert Crow, fills you with dread as you wonder what you're going to witness next. It also helps to characterize Mara. We see her determined personality through these conversations as well. She's an interesting character, especially with how the ending turns out, which I won't spoil because it's worth finding out for yourself. But yeah, the game's fairly short, so I'm impressed that they managed to cram some story in here. It's got snappy pacing, but enough dialogue to give you a good understanding of the park and its cast of characters. Now, what pulled me into playing this game was definitely the visuals. It goes back to that polygonal art style that the PS1 often had, giving it a unique identity. And with this cutesy style, they managed to create an unnerving atmosphere. I was slowly walking around, wondering what I could be facing next before... oh, it's just a woman. The zombies you face are known as guests, and you'd think they wouldn't be that scary with these graphics, but then you see this long-legged fucker and say, yeah, no, I'm not fighting that. Using the limited graphical style, the developers managed to create monsters that look more terrifying in this environment than they would in a modern day horror. It feels like a genuine art direction rather than a tacked on gimmick that a lot of other horror games tend to do. The team made a genuine effort here and it really shows. Gameplay wise, I saw it getting a bit of flack online, and yeah, it can sometimes be a little awkward to control, but I think it hits a good balance of stressing you out without wanting to smash your controller. And in comparison to old Resident Evil, these modern controls are a godsend. No tank controls, so it instantly gets points there, but it's the gunplay that I massively prefer. It goes for Resident Evil 4 style, where you manually aim at the guest coming towards you. Not having to precisely position yourself before shooting takes a huge weight off your shoulders, and it's easier to land headshots this way. You still have to be careful because you're usually in small spaces, but these choices make combat feel nervy rather than a chore to do. One of the few times I'll excuse the gameplay for being a bit clunky for the sake of the scare factor, although nothing will be scarier than Resident Evil Zero's dogshit item management. Or the fact that you're not subscribed. The button is 2 seconds away from you. Puzzles are manageable. You might have to write down some notes to keep track of the codes, but I wasn't stuck on one for ages. And if anything, you can just use the fortune teller to give you a hint. It was a nice touch because I won't lie, I am not smart in the slightest. I've failed multiple exams, I've lost a third of my IQ from Jaeger bombs, and I am especially bad at puzzle solving in video games. But I like them here. They can be a little challenging, but nothing too strenuous. But my favourite part about the puzzles here is the encouragement of exploration. You don't have to do every single puzzle to reach the ending, but the game makes it well worth your time if you do. Picking up upgrades and new weapons made it worth going out my way to find these secrets. I know it's not the first game to do this, but it felt the most rewarding, especially with the running shoes turning the game into Sonic Adventure. Similar to Resident Evil, you unlock new items depending on your grade at the end of the game, which always gives me a reason to play it again. Yes, I want that grenade launcher. I actually haven't unlocked it, but I'm gonna get it on this save. I have a good feeling. Oh, for fuck's sake. I guess my only complaints would be minor things like the game being a little too easy, but even then there's a hard difficulty option, so whatever. The bosses are okay, but they all play out the same. They felt a bit uninspiring. If they make a sequel to this, bosses other than guest but big would be a massive improvement. But my biggest problem is that this game isn't enough.
I want more!
Overall, Crow Country is a heavily underrated game that deserves more love. It pulls you in with its charming PS1 style and grips you with its atmosphere, story and gameplay. It rewards you for going to that extra step in exploration and keeps you on your toes with the various enemies you face. It can be beaten in a few hours, but you'll keep playing it to find all of the secrets and unlock the new items. Also, if you're put off by the old Resident Evil games, this is definitely the perfect starting point. It just shows with the right mechanics, you can turn a mixed experience into a good one. I give Crow Country an 8. Thanks for watching. It's mad how much support I've received when I thought this channel was well and truly done, but I still need your help. Barely anyone who watches my videos are subscribed, and I'll never grow if that continues to be the case. I don't want to be stuck at this number for the whole of 2025, so hitting that button would mean the world to me. But anyways, I hope you're enjoying the content. I'll see you in the next video, and once again, subscribe.